Some Irish coach by the name of Ronan O'Gara has won the Super Rugby Championship with Crusaders. He keeps on going, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's incredible. Obviously, very few Irish coaches have been able to get into Super Rugby or made the jump down there. And
they don't take blow-ins well, it strikes me, down there.
No, it's very rare. I mean, particularly New Zealand, Australians and South Africans have had a culture of having some foreign coaches, but
sure, why would you need them in New Zealand? They're all right, like.
Well, that's it. And a New Zealand franchise, particularly the Super Rugby winning franchise like the Crusaders, to take Ronan in shows I suppose his quality, and it's really. Stephen Jones mentioned it today in the Sunday Times. Obviously, Crusaders retained their trophy yesterday, so Ronan's now added a Super Rugby title to the top 14 title he won at Racing, plus obviously the success he had as a player. But he actually did an interview during the week in his column, he did a column for the Examiner during the week, and he spoke about, ahead of the final, he just spoke about how the 8 months he spent in New Zealand has been a master's course in coaching in itself, and how so much easier it's been, obviously not having the language barrier, but just what he's been shocked by, I suppose, is the positivity of the head coach there, Scott Robertson, who always believes the team, if they prepare properly, can win, whereas before he would have had self-doubt about, what if the opposition do this, that and the other, whereas they're very much focused on themselves. And a big thing for them is developing leadership, and he speaks about the management team always eyeing up leadership potential and developing the same to ensure there's a tier under the main layer of leaders. So traditionally in New Zealand rugby, they go from Crusaders to the All Blacks to Europe or Japan. So they move at the end of their career to Europe to have a foreign experience or to top up their pension fund. So they are very aware of that, and they're always looking at developing that next layer of leadership, and they do it in a formal way. So every Tuesday from 2 to 5, those identified players get their own individual development time, and they bring in leadership specialists. I think it's just an angle. We all speak about having leadership in your squad, but in New Zealand, they're probably ahead of the curve in that they actually formalise that in a weekly part of the plan, and they bring in leadership specialists to develop those traits. And that's why we speak about their maturity under pressure and their ability to stay on task, and a lot of that's down to the fact is that their leadership team are well prepped to deal with those moments when things are going probably against you.
Coming from the Munster culture, I'd imagine O'Gara fits, and particularly the side that he was part of and intrinsic to, he settles in quite well down there.
Yeah, and the Crusaders are probably the franchise that have tapped into the local area. It's obviously Canterbury, it's South Island, they're very humble, there's no airs and graces, and they've got a real, I suppose, attachment to their fan base, which obviously Munster have. And I mean, it's just him obviously winning that yesterday, and then obviously Paul O'Connell this week signing for Stade Francais, and him making his first step into pro coaching. I think both of them are two ex-players who willing to do the hard yards and willing to go and test themselves in different environments to make themselves better coaches.